Myra Hindley is told she'll stay in prison for the rest of her life. The government buys American planes but says it's not turning its back on Europe. And the rules on privacy for lottery winners are to be looked at again. Good evening. The Prime Minister has acknowledged that the crushing Tory defeat in the Dudley West by-election is a very poor result. And in a clear warning to his backbench rebels, he said it was time they realised they all had to pull in the same direction against the same opponent. The Labour leader, Tony Blair, said it's a sign that the country wants to change direction. Dudley West had been held by the Conservatives with a majority of nearly 6,000. But last night, Labour's Ian Pearson took the seat with more than 28,000 votes. The Conservatives came second and the Liberal Democrats third. Labour's majority was well over 20,000. And the 29% swing to Labour from the Conservatives was the biggest since 1935.
And I hereby declare that Ian Ferrers Pearson has been duly elected to serve as Member of Parliament for the Dudley West constituency.
Labour's stunning victory in Dudley is a shattering blow for the Tories because it shows their old enemy, the Alternative Government, can now do as well in the polling booths as it's been doing in the opinion polls. The fear factor has gone. Labour's leader, meeting the people in Belfast today, content that his party too can now achieve the kind of anti-government swings only centre parties have managed before in post-war years, hailed it as more than just a bloody nose for Mr Major.
This is not just about the unpopularity of the Conservatives, deep though that is. It is also about people turning to the Labour Party, its ideas, its thinking, what we're offering to the people of this country. Now, we are not in any shape or form complacent. We've got to go on deepening and broadening that bond of trust that is now strengthening between today's Labour Party and the British people.
The government is in a hole, put there by the sleaze factor, by broken tax promises, and by parties squabbling over Europe. The question is how to stop digging and cultivate the feel-good factor. The Prime Minister, on constituency business in Huntingdon, urged his party to pull together.
I think some good can come out of it, providing people realise within the Conservative Party that they must pull in the same direction, for the same cause, at the same time, and against the same opponents. Then I believe that will dramatically transform the political environment in the United Kingdom.
Mr Major and his party are looking to tax cuts next autumn for political recovery. But they've been so widely predicted they may lack impact when they come. As for Tory rebels, they're convinced it's the government, not they, who are out of touch.
We're not going to betray those who have given us their backing so wholeheartedly. We want our party to become Conservative again. We hope that can happen before the next general election. If it doesn't, then we will rebuild it afterwards.
No rebuilding, though, for the Liberal Democrats, who were also Rands in Dudley. They were simply victims, they reckon, of tactical voting.
The electors clearly were so angry about the government, which is the most unpopular government since the war, that they decided to go for the candidate who looked best placed to win.
The government lost 7 seats in the last Parliament and won them all back in 1992. But restoring unity while maintaining party discipline won't be easy. Labour have a breakthrough to cherish. What they've yet to prove is that they have the policies to appeal when the protests stop and the real choices begin. Robin Oakley, BBC News, Westminster.
In Dudley, the battered Conservatives have been holding an inquest into their party's performance. Our political correspondent, Steve Richards, has been in the constituency throughout the campaign.
In order to win their ticket to Westminster, Labour travelled light on policies but fully exploited the immense disillusionment felt by voters towards the government. Conservative disarray nationally and the distinct lack of a feel-good factor meant that it was always going to be the Labour candidate who would be heading for the House of Commons. This normally Conservative part of the constituency shows how Labour won the seat. There were plenty of former Tory voters who said they made a direct switch.
We're a bit fed up with the government at the moment. Nothing is going right, and so we thought a new, change of policy, and I like the new Labour leader.
And those Tory voters who stayed at home were making no promises about supporting the government at a general election.
But yesterday I just couldn't be bothered. I just don't like what's been happening.
Well, I used to vote Conservative at one time, and I just feel as though now there's so much pressure on you from different things. I just don't feel that the country is benefiting by them being in.
Why did you stay away?
I'm just not very happy with the way things are going at the moment.
Even so, the Conservatives are pinning much on those who stayed at home. After a campaign which coincided with the Commons' defeat over VAT on fuel and further European divisions, their crumb of comfort was the low turnout.
What did come out of this by-election was the stark contrast between the positive things we're doing and the lack of desire on the part of Conservative voters to switch across the spectrum and support the Labour Party.
Some Conservative officials are saying here that sustained economic recovery and closer scrutiny of Labour's policies will make the difference. But in the wake of last night's result, they're not saying it with any great confidence. Their post-mortem is unlikely to conclude that traditional